And we're live. Sweet. I don't want to make sure it's on.
I hear crickets.
No, think it'd be all right. But yeah, all right. So we got the stream going. This is our first stream. So I was supposed to originally do this at Zach's house, but Zach's in Birmingham. He's having to take care of some other family stuff up in Birmingham. So I'm going to do this without him, but you'll probably see him pop up in the chat. So, but anyways, well, hi guys. How's everybody today?
We're good, man.
We're good, man.
Yep. So we got a Michigan boy, a Florida boy, and North Carolina, I think. So
yeah,
I always get it backwards if you're North or South Carolina. So
it's all the same to everybody else.
You know, it's just middle ground. You know, so he's East Coast boy over there. So, and then we got old Alex over there with his nice decor, making us all look bad on our plain walls. I don't even have some.
That's not too bad.
I didn't thank my wife for that.
We got somebody joining me over here.
So I did run down to the shop and I got my other decors, which is going to be these two nitrous bottles that are sitting over here. So we add some decor to the stream, but anyways, man, it's been quite a year for us. You know, as far as like in the SN95 and New Edge community, I mean, we've all met up at several races together, and I think we got a lot to talk about. It's the end of the year. 2024 is around the corner, and I think that we're gonna see some big changes. And I mean, Bryan, you already got a head start on us. I mean, you went to World Cup, you know, so I mean, that's quite the feat, and that was a bucket list race of mine, and man, it was awesome watching you down at World Cup.
I appreciate it, man. Appreciate all this. That was a wild one, man. My anxiety was through the roof that whole weekend. But what an experience it was, and was happy to have you all there. It was a good time.
Yeah. So what's the process to actually get in a World Cup? So
you have to. They do it at registration in stages. So like stage one for stick, I think this year was like a 789 in the quarter and like a 519 in the eighth, I think it was. But you have to you have to have like either like a ladder, like a sheet, like from like a race, or have a video of your car making the pass with the time on the boards and all that stuff. I had the 8th mile covered, but I didn't have the credentials to give for the registration for stage one. So stage two was like I think it was a 809, and then for the 8th, I think it was a 529. I think.
Right.
So we were able to do that with for stage two. And fortunately, we got in. Stick was one of those classes that doesn't fill up super fast, like the super streets or the mean streets or anything like that. So, but I think there was 33. No, there was 35 cars that signed up, but only I think 28 showed up. And nice. They ended up taking the whole field, so everyone made it into the show, which was cool. But yeah, it was wild, man. The temperatures were a lot of people struggled. The cars with traction control definitely persevered that weekend. But it was a lot of fun. And just being on the same property and the same staging lanes as all those, you know, all the big dogs, man, it was overwhelming but cool at the same time. So,
right. Zach's in the chat. I was wondering who had our logo on a comment down there. Zach's in the chat, so he couldn't make it tonight. So y'all say what's up to him.
What's up?
Hey,
yeah. YMS Garage. I think that's his YouTube, you know, commenting. But yeah, so dude, that was quite the feat. Like going up there and watching that, because like that was like I said, that was a bucket list race. I've always watched it on the lives, you know, throughout the years, and actually get to see somebody I know that run the race was actually pretty awesome. So, and I mean, the caliber of car up there is just way. If you guys have never been to World Cup, that's one of the races that you need to put on your list, because I mean, it's the baddest of the bad, and anybody who made it there, you know, they're fast. So I see where I guess Hedrick, you know, he paid for he said he paid for World Cup, just didn't make it. So that would have been a good contender there, you know, in the stick class. So, but yeah, I mean, just I think 2024, I think we're going to start seeing some guys in the Cobra community or SN95 community, you know, starting to make it. I see some other guys on the come up. Marty, I'm calling Marty. So Marty's starting to work that number down a little bit. So I hope to see him in 2024.
Yep.
And maybe possibly Zach. So we'll see if we can get, all the guys there, for one big showdown. So,
right.
But
what about you three? You three had a season. All three.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. I want to. So one of them I want to talk about is I want to talk to Alex. I got a dog here. Anyways, I want to talk to Alex. Man, you finally busted down that barrier in 8, and you did it in the most conflicting way possible.
Alex is rolling.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, that was that FL2K finals where it was super bittersweet to to click off an 8-second pass. I hadn't done it. I had seen the incrementals because we were having to keep it. I think the breakout was 9:04 for the street class, and on I think it was like second round or third round, I let off on the 1,000 foot, and the car was like on a pass. It went like a 19 or something like that. And I was like, man, there's no way that was going that fast getting out of the 1,000. So whenever the finals come around against Bryan, Bryan Rogers, I got out on him on the 60 foot. I treat him, did my job. I was racing out of my window. I could see his headlights. And he just slammed the brakes a little earlier than I did. So I got on the brakes, but to pull up to the shack, not knowing whether I won or lost, and seeing my first 8-second pass, but knowing that I lost, it was just absolute insanity.
Right.
But, yeah, definitely bittersweet to click off my first 8-second pass with a loss.
So for anybody who doesn't know about your car, tell us about the combo on it. It's a S95.
Yep, it's a 95 GT. Started off as a small block Ford, heads cam and intake deal. Did a 4-valve swap out of a Mach 1, and then kind of just kept swapping it over. Did a Cobra swap on it, Eaton swap, Magnum swap. So right now it's an 04 WAP block, just rods, pistons deal, same 04 Mach 1 heads, VMP Gen 3R, Black Magic with a T56 faceplated from Liberty.
Right.
So, pretty common combo in like the community, but just getting it all to work together, suspension wise and a bunch of other stuff that we did this year.
So I remember when you had the diaphragm, I think it was the RX-T 1200 that you had in it. And then you went to you faceplated first, if I remember correctly.
No, I actually went Black Magic first.
Oh,
and
you
went
the other
Black
one.
Magic with a synchronized, just out of the box T56.
Right. Okay, that's right. Because I remember you said you had to wait on the gear, to shift it, and so
towards the end of the season, the Magnum started getting tired, and it wouldn't shift above like 8,000 because we're shifting the car at 8,400 RPM, and it would be inconsistent, and that's where I was trying to get the car to be super consistent. So it would go one pass, it would go through all the gears. The next pass, it would shut me out. So Mod Nationals 22 was the worst year, where it was just like every other pass, the car was just, and we fought the clutch and we made a bunch of changes trying to get it to shift. And that's when we figured out that it was just that the transmission was tired. And we would lower the RPM and then the clutch would slip, and then we would raise the RPM and then the transmission wouldn't shift. So it was just going back and forth.
Right. Yeah. It's, and man, I watched your car, and it's actually one of my favorite cars. Like I have like this silent list of like guys that I look up to in the community. And I watched this car. I remember watching it run like a high 9, and it would run 9.8, 9.9 consistently all the time. And then through social media, I was just watching you chop the number down, and then it got down to FL2K, and you was just right on the cusp of it, to where you was 9.0, 19s, 9.0s, but then you just busted down that 8-second door, and back in the finals, ended up losing the first place, but I mean you got your pass, but afterwards you was just consistent 8-second all the time.
Yeah, Yandro had told me one thing, that once a car like makes a number, it's like muscle memory, and the car remembers. And it was true, because it took us a little while to get to the 890s. and I didn't think it would do it that weekend because it was a hot weekend. That the weather wasn't there,
Yeah.
and we were still on the 3.3 pulley, so the car was on like 22 pounds, 21 pounds.
Yeah.
And seeing the incrementals, and I was like, man, that was an 8-second pass. And then actually seeing it after that, the car would just do it effortlessly. We pulleyed down, maxed out the injectors, put bigger injectors in it. And then after that, it's just been like 880s, 870s, 880s, 870s. And that's where the car's been ever since.
Right. Yeah. And, I mean, what's the future in 2024 that you got coming?
For right now, I mean, I've kind of thought about going single turbo, but the car's so consistent right now. I'm just going to keep it with the Gen 3R and just try to take some weight out of it and keep it super consistent where I know that it's going to go down every time. Because with stick shift racing, it's so inconsistent with everybody, then that's the fun part about stick shift racing. Like when I went in third round against Schrader at Mon Nationals, I knew the car should have gone down, but we made some changes in the middle of the race, which is something that I never do. So my data was off. So that's why I spun the tires on the hit against Schrader. So just trying to take a little weight out of the car, keep it as like a maybe as a goal, 860, 870 consistent, and just make it go down every single pass. And I think it'll be a super competitive car with all the stuff that we do.
Yeah.
Right. Awesome. Man, I saw where Justin said earlier, it says yellow cars just seem to be faster. So, and that's a little bit, I guess that'll be a little bit true because we have a second yellow car sitting over here in the corner. So, you've had a pretty good year. You ended out with you ended 2023 with a bang, So, so tell us a little bit about the car, about the combo that you got. And I mean, because yours is a little bit different from ours. You're kind of the oddball in this group because we're all 4-valve guys except for you. So
yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, I spent my days doing the 2-valve stuff, and I ran that till I couldn't do any more on it. But Coyote was the way to go, and of course, I tuned Coyote, so it was just made more sense just to go ahead and move to the Coyote platform. But it's been a long time coming. Just get into the 8s, and I had to make sure that Mod Nationals was the place that it finally got there because I was going to be embarrassed if it didn't do it. So, it finally went down in there and went some 890s, then 880s, and finally some 870s. So I was pretty happy with the combo. But
nice.
A lot of people know what it is, but if they don't know what it is, it's a Gen 2 Coyote. It's got a Vortec YSI on it. Makes about 23 pounds. It's a pretty simple setup, really. I mean, the trans is just a out-of-the-box Magnum. It's not face-plated or anything, and the clutch is just an RXT, not even a 1200. So I've got a 1200 in the box sitting there ready to go because I figure it's going to need it pretty soon. But I'm still running on that old RXT until it dies. Mm-hmm. So it's holding up for now, surprisingly. But that's one of the benefits of having a centrifugal setup is that it's not as hard on the parts. It doesn't give me that full boost down track like you guys get, but it makes up for it everywhere else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But, now I saw where you might have been changing the blower on it.
Yeah, I just went to that new V13 that Vortec came out with, which is supposed to be like an upgrade to the YSI. There's not really any data yet on this thing, so no one really has anything. Sorry, cat's in the way.
That's fine.
But I mean, we're just kind of waiting to see what it's going to do. Supposedly, it just pulls more on top end. I think that's what it's going to do. I think the boost curve is going to be about the same, but instead of going flat at the top, it should be able to just peak a little higher. So maybe some higher RPM quarter miles is what I'm looking for.
So the car's going to go 170, Schrader. That's what you're saying.
What's that?
The car's going to go 170.
It's possible. I mean, it hit 167, which blew my mind at Mod Nationals. I had no idea it was going to go that fast.
Right.
But that car pulls hard on top end. It always has.
Mm-hmm.
It's lightweight and just the setup in general. It just that's what it likes to do.
Yeah.
Was it 60 foot down there, or was it just kind of mediocre on that 167 pass?
It went like a 128 or 129 on that one. So, and that's the fastest it's been 60 foot. So I was pretty happy with that. That was moving, and that's I think what broke the torque box in it because it ripped the torque box out of it. And I've spent the last couple of weeks a little bit at a time, tearing that thing out and putting it all back together. So,
Right.
It's when you find the limits is when you start turning stuff up.
Yeah.
So on the Y side, on which I'm not well versed in the Coyote. So on the Y side and on Gen 2 Coyote, so 23 pounds. Like what are we talking power wise on that? So was it?
I don't have dyno numbers right now because it won't put a dyno number down at that level. I need a hub dyno, I guess, to get there. I'm ending up with tire spin and everything else with the 410 gear. So
Right.
I think it makes around 1050 to 1100 at the wheels. That's my guess on it.
Nice. So, and that's, it was kind of a unique combo when I first seen it. And anyways, I was like, well, I said, I don't think I've ever seen one. And you actually got another mod moto car, but it's kind of an oddball car. I'm gonna throw this in the mix. You want to tell us about that one?
You talking about the wagon?
Yeah, the wagon. Yes.
Yeah. So I got a little MG wagon, of course. It's almost the same setup, just turned down a lot more than that. It's just a stock Gen 2 Coyote in it. And it's got a Vortec JT on it, but it's getting ready to get turned up next year. So we'll have a whole new wagon set up later next year. But that was pretty cool. Right-hand drive. That one's an auto car, but I'm thinking about swapping it to a stick.
Ooh.
Big
Stick
problem
shift
with that
wagon?
car. It's an IRS in the back though, so I'm about to play with the Cobra theories on that one and try and figure out how to get the thing to launch. And tire size is a problem because it will only handle like an 8-inch rim back there. I can't get any size of tire. So,
Right.
But I've got the what I've learned from the yellow car was some boost management, and this has been the biggest part of having to deal with getting the car to launch right. But I had a wastegate to this setup, so it's a centrifugal and goes through an intercooler, but then there's a wastegate to blow off boost, and I've got that tied into switches on the shifter. So that literally in first gear, I can tell it that I only want, basically open the wastegate and run on the wastegate spring for first gear. And then second, third, fourth, I can run all out max effort.
Nice.
And,
Right.
It's super simple. It's not even, there's no boost controller because I didn't want to complicate matters. Literally, it's wastegate is either on or off. It's 12 volt or off. So
Right.
if it's just running on wastegate spring pressure, I can change the spring pressure to give me either 5 pounds, 7 pounds, 10 pounds, whatever the track will hold. And that's what I was figuring out at my nationals is how much spring pressure to give it on the launch. So,
Right.
and track prep was amazing, of course. So, I had it cranked up to, I think, like 13 PSI there on some of the really good passes. But then it started spinning on me on eliminations day. So I had to turn it back down. And all I would do is just, take the spring pressure out of it.
Right.
That's cool.
But then second, third, fourth, it'll run all out 23 PSI.
Right. Oh
If
man,
I can ask, what does that car weigh?
I think the car weighs like, it should be now right around 3,000 with me in it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man.
I think last year it was about 30, 50, but I've taken a little more out.
Nice.
That's cool.
Nice.
I gotta get rid of that iron block. So I'm these light guys coming in here like that.
Yeah, well, it takes a lot of work to get the weight out of it. That's the problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I've been fighting all year. I don't know what it is with the 94 95s if they use like a heavier metal or whatever, but I've done a lot of weight reduction and that car is still 3250 with me in it. So I need to find another 250 pounds somewhere. And there's nothing to other than like starting to cut the inner structure out or doing crazy carbon doors or something. Is I'm running out of options on where to take weight out of the car.
Right.
That's the problem. It starts to get expensive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Bryan, what's yours weigh?
3360 at World Cup.
Yeah, I think mine's
She's still heavy.
so with me in it, my car, I'm 3495 in the beams. So, but
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to get down there with those guys. I got a lot of weight to pull out of it. I mean, I still got the push bars and all that stuff. So, but I'm trying not to butcher the car is all. But so Bryan, I mean, we've seen your combo through the past, but I mean, give us a refresher.
Basic rundown. The combo is a modular headshot 4.6 built by Jordan Thomas. Manly crank, K1 rods, Weisco pistons, nothing crazy. The heads are probably the jewel of the motor, I guess you could say. Got Jordan's everything that he could do on those. Their fire hoops, all that stuff. And then the stage 4 turbo cams. And then it's got a 94 102 precision on it. My buddy Jeff Chandler did the turbo kit. Face-plated Magnum, Black Magic clutch currently, solid axle, kind of similar to Alex with the clutch in the trans. But yeah, the car at World Cup did 792 at 182 mile an hour. Says we got a lot for some mid 7-second passes, but got to get that short track right, and that's where we've kind of struggled. This season especially struggled big time there. But we got some stuff going on in the off season. Hopefully we can try and get that right, and get that 60-foot consistent better, the 330-foot better, and everything else will translate. So
what was your PB?
792 at 182.
And that was at World Cup.
Yeah.
That's rolling.
So, that's some big boy numbers there. That's big boy mile an hour.
Was surprised to see the mile an hour on the slip. I wasn't expecting that. And then it backed it up. It did 181 and some change again later on. So, I mean, it did it twice. But got to get the ET down. That's what matters. So
Right. Yeah.
But,
I mean, that's yeah. I mean, it was quite something watching it from the top end coming at you. And when I seen that 181 popped on the board, I was like, man, I said, that thing was on a pass. It was making steam on the back end. And anyways, I thought, if I'm not mistaken, it was just kind of like a mediocre 60-foot compared to what it was doing, wasn't it?
yeah, I mean, the 60-foot on that pass was like a 129. The last time it went in the sevens, it did like a 121, I think.
Yeah.
So we definitely had more in it. But the first pass off the trailer at World Cup, it cut a 121, and then when we lost the tire on the gear change and just got out of it because the run was toast after that. And then we just couldn't get that 60-foot back. We tried 3 other passes, didn't change anything on the hit or anything. Couldn't get it to 60-foot the same.
Right.
Not sure where it went, but
yeah.
I've been going down the rabbit hole, data logs and all that stuff, and trying to refine some things, but can't try nothing until next year. So got some stuff in my pocket, gonna try, but
right
works then, I guess.
Yeah.
But
I guess we got Heath asking. He says, "I'm curious what everyone's strategy is based on, or is on base pressure versus weight on the arms with an adjustable clutch." Or adjustable clutch.
So I was actually I was going to ask Alex this, what kind of what the strategy is, because I know where I was with the blower, and then where I've had to go with turbo, and not only that, but with different disc compounds, because I'm all over the place right now. And I know with the blower, back when I had that, we were at Mod Nationals when it went the 851. I think it was at like 3 turns of base and like 99 grams just on a single disc.
Wow.
And then now with turbo combo, the passing went 182 mile an hour, same clutch, just a different compound. We're at a half turn of base and 110 grams. Like you're talking like doesn't even make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, after I got my clutch rebuilt, I don't remember what compound the disc is. I think it's the same disc that he sends with the Defiance.
Yeah.
Whenever I had the clutch originally in the car, I've always run really low base. It's always been like a half a turn of base, 1 turn of base at the most. Because, again, I was fighting the synchros. And I think we had maybe 40, 50 grams on it.
Okay.
This time when I put it back in, I said I was going to get aggressive because I was chasing the 60-foot because the car was always in the 130s, 140s. So initially we had put 2 turns of base and like 60 grams on it. And with the amount of RPM that we were throwing at it on the hit, we ended up turning the base down. So right now the car has maybe a turn of base and maybe like 65 grams on it, if I remember right.
Okay.
And I found that sweet spot where all I have to do is adjust RPM depending on track prep.
Right.
So I can add 100 RPM or take away 50 RPM, and the 60 foots basically are the same. So we've noticed with the car, when it's off the trailer, I can throw just about any RPM at it, 4,500, 5,000, whatever, and it'll go. Yep. It'll 60 foot. It'll be in the 120s with no problem. Once the clutch has some heat in it, we have to take the RPM down because it gets really aggressive and it'll blow the tires off.
Same as me.
Yeah. So first hit off the trailer, I'll call anybody out because I know it's going to go down the track. Second or third pass, I have to start checking the track and lowering the launch RPM.
Yeah.
But again, I have it in a really nice spot where I don't have to be getting under the car every time to adjust stuff or whatever. It is just I'll take 50 or 100 RPM out, and 9 times out of 10, it will go down the track.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah, there's not only that, because I got currently in the car is a stamp steel 3-lever, like what Yandro used to have way back when.
Yeah,
so
we call it the dinosaur.
The dinosaur, yeah. So it's very different than what you have. And a lot of people are like, oh, it's got 3 levers, it's got the same springs, but it's like, but the design of the levers and things like that, that'll dictate counterweight as well. So that's why you're only at 50, 60 grams or whatever, and I was at 100 with the
Yeah,
ball.
that's why when you said 3 turns of base and 100 grams, I was like, damn.
Yeah,
but it makes sense that on the stamp steel and Yandro's car, we would do the same. We would put the bolts were so long that we were bending the bolts because we had so much counterweight on them. But yeah, with the Defiant and the billet cover and the 6 levers, you can it's a little bit more forgiving than the stamp steel was, and even the next gen, because it looks like the next gen. We had some issues in the beginning, but we got it figured out. But yeah.
With when I was still with the blower combo, I was in a similar position as you were, where you had your clutch tune up and you just manipulate it with RPM, and that was really, really nice point to be at.
Yep.
Now and I was kind of at that point with the turbo combo up until this last rebuild when changed compounds, and I've just been in a tailspin ever since. But I think towards the end of the year, even at World Cup, I think I only got underneath it once at World Cup, because on the pass and went to 792, when we grabbed 4th gear, it kind of flared a little bit. And I just threw a nut on each arm just to, get rid of that.
Yeah.
But other than that, we're pretty much almost there.
I believe it was the first or second 880 pass was the first time that I saw the RPM kind of just flare a little bit on the shift. And we just gave it more RPM instead of shifting it closer to 81. I bumped up my red line and just shifted it a little bit higher, and it kind of took it away.
Yep. For sure.
I think I'm just going to hang back and with Schrader, and we'll just rock the diaphragms for a little while.
Well, we can switch now. You guys can talk about your diaphragm Tamer deals now if you want.
No.
The Tamer stuff definitely works because we put it in Junior's Cobra, and it made that car super consistent. So the old RXT beat up clutch that I have in that car and the Tamer, it worked. It worked for my nationals.
Well, this is I want you guys to talk about this because this is the adjustable clutch world. It's kind of intimidating because, Alex, as you know, it takes a lot to set it up and get it working properly. Once you get to that point, life is pretty good. But with the Tamer option, you can have your RXT, you can have like your standard combination. You can go put that in and then immediately see results, and it's cost effective. That's
the biggest thing is being cost effective, because not only is the slipper stuff, like you said, intimidating initially going in, but the initial buy-in, it stings a little bit.
Sure.
Once you have it, the rebuilds aren't horrible, and once you got a lot of data on it, you can make them work. But that initial buy-in, it hurts your feelings.
Sure does.
Yeah. So just to kind of bring everybody up to speed and like what we're talking about here. So this is still kind of in the making, but we have came out with a product. There will be a video later on about this, by the way. Just I'm actually getting this design, legally mine. So we're working on doing a write-up on it. We're doing so, and the way that works is, and you'll see in a later video, Steve actually has one. Steve was actually my first test car with the solenoid, because I had no idea it worked. And it's simple. You set it. We got some basic settings, to like kind of give you a start on where it should be at, depending on your clutch. And depending on what kind of clutch you have and what your disc materials are made out of is all going to affect this. So everybody's car is going to act a little different. So my car is going to act different than Steve's and so on and so forth, or Junior's, because we all make different powers and have different clutches. And so you kind of have to figure out where your ground is or where it likes it. And guys were hitting me up about, about this, this Tamer. So, which, I can't coin the term because it's trademark, but, it's a slipping device nonetheless. It acts like a third leg. You ain't gotta, work it with your foot. So, so it acted, you just in simple terms, you push a button, you push the clutch down, you let go of the button. And the next move you need to make is when you wait on the light and get on your two-step, just dump the clutch. That's it. That's as simple as I could make it. And then when it does that, it deactivates and you can free kick the rest of the gears and it never activates again. It's only one button and one solenoid, and that's it. So,
and I will talk about that for a second because I want to talk about that Tamer, because I tried the original Tamer years ago and hated it so bad. I said never again. I threw it in the trash. It was so bad because it was like an old screen door shock that actually leaked on my foot, and it didn't work at all. The fluid was actually coming out of it. So whenever you started talking about this, I was like, wow, that sounds like a cool idea, but it's probably going to take me a while to get this thing set up. And so we tried the Mod Nationals, and I had no idea. I figured, you know what, it's probably going to take me the whole event to set this thing up. And if it doesn't work, I'll just go back to doing it manually like I always do. And believe it or not, it only took like 2 passes. And I was kind of scared to use it the first time. But the first time I actually trusted it and launched on it, I was like, what in the world? This thing just hooked and rolled out.
Feels great, doesn't it?
Yeah. And it was so consistent. That was the biggest part because, normally whenever you're leaving on an RXT, you're doing it off your left leg. Your left leg's doing all the work. And there's no way to be exactly consistent every single time. I mean, you do it like clockwork and you do it all the time, but there's no way to perfect that with your leg.
Right.
But on the Tamer, I did notice, you could make a revolution or two to get it to where you could change the leave out time, the actual time that the shaft comes out, how long it takes to engage it. And on my car, it worked perfect just because, for one, it's a centrifugal with a wastegate, so I could already knock the boost out of it. So basically, I could come out on whatever boost level I want. So once I figure out the spring pressure to come out on 7 pounds, 7 PSI, and then just have the Tamer roll it straight out from there. And then after that, it'll just roll up into the boost once the Tamer's out. But the Tamer's only takes about a second to engage. And that's all it needed was a full second just to get the car to set on the suspension and get it to stick and get it rolling out. But I was pretty amazed at it.
Yeah. And it was, it was probably the best feeling. Like, I'm not gonna lie, my car was a struggle bus at Montnats, but I had several cars there running my little gizmo here, and it was just everybody was doing great, and it made me equally as happy as if I just went out there and busted off a record pass, And I remember, so Steve had texted me like probably a week prior, and he says, "Hey, going to go out Thursday and probably do some passes." Well, I sent him one. And I was like, "Hey, here you go. Just so you know, this is the first solenoid activated one." And he had to make on his car, he had to make a bracket for it, and did a great job doing it because he doesn't have the location where I originally set it up for on the fuse panel. So, and he sent me a video of how it works, and he went way above and beyond of testing it out, because he was telling me that he set it up with a stopwatch, to like how many turns, add seconds, or this and that. I mean, he was really breaking it down to a science, way more than I did. And then I remember being at Montnats, and I was just having a hard time with the car or whatever. And I went over to talk to him, and he said that he was a little nervous about trying it out. Because we're in qualifying, you got to get on the board. And he went out, and I think he did a 900. I think he did on your first pass. So and then I remember wrenching on my car, and I got a text. He says, "I hope you got that on video." And he said it was my first second pass. And I asked him, I was like, "Did you use the Tamer?" And he's like, "Yeah, I used the Tamer." I was like, first time out, he got it on the Tamer. So he got his 8 second. He broke down the 8 second barrier. So it made me so happy. And then, but like Steve said, it's when you're having to work it with your foot, it's a variable. So, because we're all human, we're not that consistent, in everything that we do. So, when you're starting to work it with your foot, you're guessing, did I slip the clutch? Was it too much RPM? Was the suspension off? And you're trying to figure out what's the caveat here, because like what's the piece that needs to be adjusted. So if I give you a device that does the same thing every single time, okay, and something else is off, now you can adjust this or that. And I think you adjusted like what RPM and just to kind of help it out.
So literally the two-step is what decides what RPM I leave off of. So once you've got the Tamer working, all you got to do is just adjust the two-step up or down in RPM. I leave it like 3,500, and I started bumping it up. It was holding 3,500. It's like, let's try 3,700. It took that. I took it all up to 3,900 because the track prep was good, and it would leave at 3,900. That's like about 7 PSI is all it is on the leave, and then it'll climb from there. But I will say that little solenoid you added was what made it so convenient and easy because you don't have to think about anything. And I actually wired mine to a button. I found some eBay horn button, literally, where it just sits on your steering wheel, and it's remote, so it doesn't even have any wires going to the steering wheel. It was super easy to wire in, and I showed it to you. But literally, I just press the button down on the horn, or not horn, but it's a horn button on the steering wheel, and that activates that solenoid. And then as soon as it's activated, sitting there, when I'm in the first bulb, I'll go ahead and set it. And then before I roll into the second bulb, I let off of that button so that it's already activated. And all I do is whenever I take off, that solenoid automatically pops itself out and disengages so that, 2, 3, 4 doesn't have to worry about being on the Tamer.
Right. And yours is set up. I mean, that button's like a little Bluetooth trans brake. It's like what, like $16 on eBay, I think.
That's literally all it is. Yeah, I'm sure there's versions.
Like I make the product, and I don't even have the solenoid in my car yet. Like I'm still working off the little little push pin. So I've been sending out all these solenoid devices out to everybody, and then you come out with that one. I was like, man, I'm behind, and I'm making this stuff. So. But I mean, I like what you did though, because it's so simple. Because not everybody's comfortable, running wire, to the car to make a button and things like that. And I've tried to make it as simple as just a fuse tap, and a monetary switch, that you can put anywhere. But I mean, when you get everything, it all comes in a bag. That's all that it takes to activate that solenoid, and it's just a ground, a button, and a fuse tap. That's it. So I think I'm excited about it. So just kind of give you a little peep window. This is actually going into CNC, and laser cut. So everything will be consistent because I have to make everything by hand. And I'm trying to make it as just consistent as I can from car to car. But, there's going to be little micro differences, that are off, and some of the edges might be a little bit rough. But, I mean, I wanted to make a product that was, that would pay for itself, but was cheap enough to where the average guy can buy it. Because, like Alex said, that sticker shock, from when you go to start dipping into that adjustable clutch market, not everybody is ready for that. And I've had guys that have hit me up in my inbox, and they're like, "Hey, they said, what's it do?" I'll send them videos what it does. They're like, cool, because I really did not want to go with a slipper clutch and crawl up under the car. He says it's just kind of it's something I'm not looking forward into diving into, because it's a little bit intimidating. I'm not gonna lie. Mm-hmm. So and like the sticker shock, once you buy the clutch, then you're gonna have to buy the trans to pair with it. So this just kind of gives you like that weekend racer ability to go out there and actually run a decent number and be consistent in it. And I'm actually interested to see what no guys do with it. I got a couple test cars out there to test it out, so I think it'll help stick shift market a little bit. So, like I said, I'm not looking to get rich off this product. I'm just looking to help build these classes, because it's so everybody knows the stick shift racing is a little bit intimidating, because not everybody wants to break their car, or they don't know how to do it, or they just they're not exactly sure how to dive off in it. So, I mean,
well, it works. I'll give you that.
It definitely works, because when we put it in Junior's car, it's a simple car. It's just a Steggy ported 97 Cobra. Makes 420, maybe 450. But it broke. We put a twin disc in it, and first time out, we had an old Exity single disc in it that was out of my car. And I guess that was a saving grace for the car whenever he was making his first couple passes. We put a twin disc in it, an XCD twin disc, and first time out, he snapped the output shaft. I mean, just clean snapped the output shaft. So I had a spare Magnum at the shop, so we threw that in the car, and that's when I messaged Garrett. I was like, man, we need a Tamer because he can't be breaking parts. He can barely afford the transmission that I'm having to put in the car.
Right.
And he does a lot of true street stuff. And right off the hit, the car has been super consistent. I mean, it went 11.4, 11.4, 11.4. First time out with the Tamer. So for him not having that, 100, 120, 200 passes under his belt that we have, from just racing over the years, for him to get in the car and basically figure it out within the first couple passes and then run true street and be able to be super consistent where he can be competitive and try to at least get him, some money or just feel like he did something good.
Right.
That alone was worth it.
Right.
Like you said, the cost of putting it into the car and just making it to where it's going to be consistent for him and he's not going to be blowing stuff up. That alone was worth the money to put that Tamer in his car.
Right.
Garrett, there was one question that when we were talking about doing this was where is that, like, that threshold of like Tamer versus adjustable? I don't even think we can give an answer for that, honestly, because
you know what, and I don't think so either, because like, and I watched, me and you, we watched, well, actually all of us, we watched Allen over the years over in Alaska. Yeah. And he's been going 856 with a diaphragm. Mm-hmm. So I think that's probably going to, if I had to give a number, and I'm not saying this is the number, but if I had to give a number, I think if you're wanting to go faster than 850, I think you're going to have to put a slipper clutch in it. Because I think also Jeremy Howell on the Flat Fox, he was saying that he was, once he started getting down like towards 8.1, and he had an RPS clutch, and I looked up the specs on it, and it would hold like 1,350 foot-pounds of torque. And and he said every time he would click, he would start to slip in third, and when he clicked fourth, it was nothing but slip. He said when he tried to get to the bottom eights, and his car is way light as far as I'm concerned, or as far as I know. And I think if you had to put a comfortable number on it, I think 850 is going to be the tippity top, because I think I mean look at Schrader. Schrader, you went 870s with one.
Yeah.
I think Schrader's going to be faster, a lot faster.
Yeah.
I'm expecting it. I'm shooting for 850s this year. I think that's really all I want to shoot for. If it goes faster than that, that's great. But I don't want to play with you guys and your slipper clutches. So I just want to be
come on,
able to race this 850 stuff.
Yeah.
850s are a lot of fun.
Yeah. Zach says down here, Zach says, think the weight is the limit. RTXT will start to struggle and to hold the power. Yeah, I think he's right on that one. So once you start trying to run that number deeper, and I think the way the car is going to have a lot of effect on it, of how fast it'll, or how much that clutch will hold, on the big end.
You can always try to do like a center iron diaphragm. I know there's a couple of them out there.
Yeah.
So if you do a slipper style center iron disc with a really strong pressure plate, I mean, it could still work, like the Bankshift Billy or the Tamer or anything like that. Because I even thought about something like that to do drag and drive stuff.
Yeah.
Where you do, a center iron where it's going to take the heat, it's going to take the slip, but you can still drive it, like normal on a diaphragm.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if the RXT starts to give up the ghost, something like that, if somebody's willing to be hard-headed and say, no, I'm going to keep a diaphragm, that would probably be the next step, would be, center iron with a badass, pressure plate.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It'll last way longer, too, than an RXT, because RXT ain't made to slip. But
No. I think, I talked to, what's his name? Tyler Garlock. I actually sent him one. So he has one that he's going to try out. So, and if y'all don't know his combo, it's a turbo Hemi and a SN95, I believe. So, and he has an RXT, and I asked him, I was like, are you slipping or are you just dumping it? He said, I'm just dumping it. He's like, I'm just dumping it, and whatever sticks. And it's a slick car, so I mean, it's a little bit more forgiving. But I guess, I guess the theory there is that you run the little bit lesser clutch and, just dump it with power, and hopefully that lesser clutch does a slip, for you. So,
yeah, we did that with Minion. We did that with Minion in the beginning before we went slipper. And even with the 1200s, we would get maybe 3 events out of those clutches where we had 4 or 5 of them laying around, and we would paste them together just to try to make the next event. And that's when he got tired of it and went Black Magic, because, again, we would literally get an event or 2 once the car was making, 12, 1,300 horsepower.
Right.
And he was trying to do it with his foot. They wouldn't last.
No.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I think
I will say too. I think that depending on how your car makes the power, so a turbo car or a PD blower, they're going to make peak boost all the way down the track, and I think that's harder on the clutch than doing like a centrifugal setup. So I've been surprised that mine's held up with just a base RXT, but I think that it's just a lot more stress on them doing these turbo setups.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a difference between the center iron twin disc and the triple disc would make a difference?
A triple would be too much for whatever, there's guys, some of the super fast guys may do triple stacks, but not, I wouldn't do a triple anything for drag racing. That'd be way too much, especially centered iron. Like we saw with Dan's car. Remember when we were down in Bradenton with trying to get the Tamer figured out 2 years ago, and with his particular combination, it was just there was no middle ground. It was either on or off, and then you either loosen the Tamer up so much to the point where like it just would barely you couldn't get it to the car to move because the clutch is still down and the shock's keeping it down. It's going so slow, and, like you couldn't figure we could not get it figured out. That's why going back to what Alex said with a single, that's probably the ticket right there.
Right.
Unless you're trying to take mass out of the back of the engine, doing like an 8-inch twin, I think would be the max, because it's just going to be a little bit smaller, less weight. It'll probably pick up a ton of RPM. But at least with a 4.6 platform, it's a small motor, so you can't take away a lot of the mass because you're going to lose torque on eventually. Sure. But I think an 8-inch twin for like a drag, 8-inch twin center iron, I think would be the max that I would even try to attempt.
Yeah, I can't remember what size Dan's is. His is a Mantic, so it's like a dual. It's either a 7 or an 8. I can't remember.
Well, like you were saying, the big guys like Grubworm and Grannis and stuff, they're going with the 8-inch twin center iron slipper.
Yeah.
But again, I'm sure somebody makes an 8-inch twin diaphragm. But yeah, anything triple, it's just an on and off switch. You're not going to get those to work.
I'm with you.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, and I'll just give you an example. Like, it's a totally different platform, but like he has a monster triple disc, or he had a monster triple disc on it, on his vet. And he had he has the Hitmaster. I guess it's the other hydraulic taming system. And the window was just so small. It was so small. It was on or off. And we had to put a pressure gauge on one of the cylinders, or not the cylinders, but in the line, to whenever we adjusted it, it would tell us like where we were as far as like slippage. And so, but every time we did it, it was either too much or too little. The window was just so small we could not figure it out. So it was like one out of every 10 pass, we might get a good 60 foot out of it. We were getting like good consistent, like 148 to 151s. And then out of nowhere, we make a small tweak, and out of nowhere, it'll be like a 137. I was like, okay, well, what happened? What changed? What went different? And it was just, the heat, there's all those discs, and, it acts differently from cold to hot, depending on what the disc, is. And it's just, we were chasing ourselves. We were chasing ourselves up the whole time. And so I think twin disc, if you get a good solid twin disc, I think you should be all right. I mean, guys are out there making 4 digits on twin disc. I mean, and I think that's probably the way to go for me personally. So I've had good luck on it with my car, and I don't make 4 digits, but I mean, it's worked out good so far, especially with a taming system. But I mean, and plus, I mean, and just to clarify, like on this one, so we got it to where you could drive with it. So, I mean, it doesn't activate every single gear. I mean, and you don't have to worry about relays and switches and resistors and all that kind of stuff to actually make it work. So that's another thing we tried to implement into the design of it was just normal driving. So, but Nathan said he needs a Tamer for his Coyote car. So, boy, let's talk about that dude for a second, Nathan. So, like, where's that car been?
He's building a garage, man. He was busy this year. He'll be back next year. He'll get it. You get it.
So, all these yellow cars, man, they going fast now. I don't like it. Maybe I need to paint mine. So,
but too many as it is. We can't tell them apart.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you. But
that or you get called Baby Minion or Minion Junior or something stupid.
Yeah.
When you got an SM95,
yeah.
Listen, I'm not gonna lie. Like, hand to God, like I tell you, when I first seen his car, I thought it was one of Yandro's cars, and I thought it was just like his little street car they brought to the track, and I kept calling it Baby Minion. I did not know Alex from Adam, so but I saw it, and I was like, man, this is like the mini Minion or something like this, and then finally somebody introduced me to him. I was like, oh, okay, so this is somebody else's car. Never mind.
Yeah.
Same camp, but it's But ever since then, I mean, Alex has been a solid dude to go to the track with. So
I've had that car now. Well, my youngest is 17, so I've probably had this car 17 or 18 years.
Nice.
So it's been around for a long time. Gone through a lot of iterations, but yeah, it stings a little bit every time somebody says it on a live or something. I'm like, come on, man, I'm gonna wrap it black.
I'm loving these comments, Minion Junior.
Yeah.
So stop putting Minion doors on your cat, Alex.
His dumb taillights.
Oh
yeah, Justin Young doesn't like them taillights. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Well, Alex, I hope we get a rematch sometime next year.
Oh, absolutely.
That race we had. That was.
I owe you a better race.
He's beat both me and you. So
yeah.
It's not about that car, man. It's just bad juju. So it's like I don't know if he's just throwing water in our lane or something. I don't know. So
no.
I gotta talk to his lineup guy. So.
Yeah.
By the way, I watched that video. So in case y'all don't know, Alex beat me at FL2K, and I had that car. I had him. I'm salty to this day because the little Eaton car was not supposed to make it that far, and I said if I ever had to lose somebody, it was going to be him. And so lights drop, and you actually treated me by a little bit. So you got me out there, but I think did you bog it or did you blow the tires off?
It blew the tires off. That's when we were learning about the hot clutch versus cold clutch deal, and we didn't take enough RPM on it. So it moved like 20 feet and then just blew it. When it locked up, it just blew the tires off.
Yeah, because when that happened, I was cars out on you, and I was like, okay, here we go. I was like, I in my head, I said, I'm gonna win this. I looked into my mirror, and you were still back there. And I was like, I'm fixing to win this. And then I clicked fourth, and then it just backfired through the intake. Car shut down, and I think what bit me was me trying to get the car started back because all the gauges went off. And so what I tried to do was I couldn't get it started, so I tried to pop clutch it, and I think it took too much momentum out of me, and you got me by like, I don't know what, like a half car, something like that. So you nosed me out of the end.
Yeah.
So,
I almost gave up whenever it's fun, but I'm like, you know what? I'm going to run it out the back. Why not? So when I clicked it in third and I saw the nitrous backfire, because I'm not even looking forward. I'm looking at you. And I see the puff of smoke. I was like, oh, put it in fourth. And I actually started gaining on you. And it was crazy because the whole event, I had been slamming on the brakes not to break out. So I'm chasing you, watching you backfire, putting it into fourth, and right at the stripe, I still slam on the brakes for no reason because I'm like, ah! So yeah, that was the best race. I mean, ever.
I saw you coming in my mirror, and I was just like, "Oh no! Like I was just like I was tensing up, like come on, strike! And dude, you blew past me at the end, and I said, "I don't think he got me. No, there's no way he got me. Dang it, I think he got me." And so I went around to the end, and your win light came on. I was like, "Oh my god!" It was the race of the year for me, absolutely. And I was so happy and sad at the same time. But dude, when we got back to the pits, I mean, we didn't know what to say to each other. We were just like, what a race that was. And I like awesome. Races where you got to chase them. So
yeah, it was fun. It was definitely one of the better passes that I've ever made against somebody.
Yeah, and then Skylar Hardy gets me at my nats the same way sort of. So I got out on him, and he was just creeping in my window. I was like, man. He got me by, I think I lost that race by 0.030, and he got me by like a turn signal.
So I will say though, Garrett, like your car is so surprising sometimes. Like you launch so hard and so quick. I mean, you're cutting like 050 lights on a stick shift car, and it's ridiculous. And it kind of spooks people and screws up their game because they see you jump out on them, and then they got to play catch up half track.
Yeah. Well, so full disclosure, and I'll say this with confidence. I am not that great of a stick shift racer I did not have this in my car, because I've tried slipping the clutch manually like Schrader. You're like 10 times the driver I am. I can't slip it, with my foot like a lot of you guys have been doing over the years. And I've tried, and I've cut like a 1.6 and maybe like a 1.7. That was like as most as I get because I couldn't figure out where the middle ground was, and I just didn't want to dump it. So when I put that in my car, I kind of figured out what the inherent mechanical delay was versus my foot reaction time was, and I could kind of set it to where, like, as soon as that light came on, I could dump it, and all that mechanical delay and clutch slip and all that was actually get me a good reaction time out. So, and that's kind of what helped me because, like, I'll take Skylar Hardy for example. He went like a 230 on the light, and I went like a 085, and that was the only way I was going to get him because, I mean, I saw his combo. I was like, man, it's a big Whipple Coyote in a light Fox. I said, there's just no way. And then and I just didn't know what the car was going to do at the time. But I think the Tamer, that's also another thing about this is that is that you don't have to think about slipping it, because when you get caught up trying to slip it with your foot, you're thinking more about your foot than you are the light. And so all that delay and, reaction time, you just kind of, starts adding on to it. And so I just like to dump it and go. I think that's just kind of my way of racing and getting a reaction time on it. And this gizmo's kind of helped me do it. So
I will say, Garrett, I like your setup, how you must have it set up to where it comes off right off the floor and engages, because, I mean, to cut those kind of lights, I mean, as soon as you're off the pedal, that car is already moving.
Yeah, like it's about halfway engagement, so it's kind of down there. So
I know my pedal lets out a little high, and I think that's actually hurting me on the reaction time because I couldn't cut better than like a 175 light. So it was just a mechanical delay waiting on that pedal to come up. So this year I'm going to work on actually getting the pedal to where it lets off the floor closer, and then just set the Tamer to where it'll play in that little range. And I think that'll cut some really good lights.
Yeah, and I mean, and that, not a lot of people get caught up in they get so caught up in the 60-foot, and that they forget there's a reaction time to be had there, and you're giving up some track there, Right. So and because I mean, when I first started going to tracks and events, and I was terrible in my eyes. I was terrible. I was cutting like high twos, and I just couldn't. I was like, and the guys next to me, they were cutting like low ones. Like, for example, like Anthony Costello, I think I might have gone against him once, and he was down to the bottom ones. I was like, man, how's he doing this? Just slipping with his foot. I was like, I'm not as good as these guys. So that's why we kind of came up with this little system and stuff. But yeah, I'm chasing a little micro record, a little goal. I missed it by so much on FL2K. I went 935 at 149, and to my knowledge, the fastest Eaton car right now is actually an auto car, and it's an Eaton car with some nitrous on it, and he went like 928. So I think it's a guy named Jake Hartline, and so I'm shooting for that. I was watching like the list, and I was starting to knock all the auto cars off. I was like, I need to be a stick car to be the fastest one, and I was trying so hard to get it there. So, but my ultimate goal is it's far, kind of far out there, but I want to see if we can try to go H with this car and with the Eaton still on it. So, and for anybody watching, it's a lot of nitrous on it. So I mean, it's about a cloud's worth. But I think we did just basic combo. It's just straight axle Magnum car, RXT 1200, 140,000 miles stock motor. Like it had a valve cover off for the first time at Martinez because I broke the crank sensor off and I had to go fish it out. But I mean, it's got stock head bolts, gaskets, everything, and we're putting 250 on top of 18 pounds, and it's still holding together somehow. So I give a lot of credit to Zach. So he's kind of the guy that's keeping it all together with tuning and whatnot. But if you're, and that's just a lot of people think that you need to build a motor, especially in like just 4-valve world, I guess Cobra world. I think that you need to build a motor to kind of get down those bottom nines and stuff like that, and possibly an 8. I mean, you don't. So I mean, there's guys out there who have done it before. You just kind of. It's all about good maintenance, good tuning, good fuel. I mean, as long as you can kind of keep those three, going, I mean, you can really make a motor go a long way with it. So we did it with Zach's car. I know, my car has done it, and I think if you kind of make all, dot all your I's and cross all your T's, with your tuning and your fuel and your maintenance, I think you can really make one go pretty far. So far we've been 935 at 149, on a stock motor. So I think it's a testament to how far you can make one go. But let's see. What's another thing? Oh, you want to talk about the track rental? There.
I'm like, who, you?
Yeah, you want to talk about the rental?
What rental? I don't know nothing about no rental.
So we have this concept. We have this concept about trying to get, about actually doing a big track rental, for a lot of the stick shift guys, or just Cobra guys in general, to come out to some middle ground place to where we can actually go out there and have a good time, dial in, and try to shoot for records, at a good time of the year. So, and it's, I mean, what's your I don't know, what's the season like up there? I mean, like May, everything starts going into motion.
Up here, opening weekends are usually the first week of April.
Yeah.
So we'll probably starting to get out first, second week of April up here.
Yeah.
But Andrew just said BG. BG is a good central location for sure.
Right.
I'm not sure. I don't know how good they prep there. We're just with their team, or if we need to call in somebody else. But
right.
Alex and those guys, they're pretty blessed having Bradenton and Wade and all those guys down there. And then
Absolutely,
we're fortunate up here having Sam at 131 and all that. I just don't know how tight BG gets it on a, if we do a rental. So I guess that's just some stuff we have to go look at. But
right.
Steve, how far is BG from you, Steve?
I think it's like 8 hours.
8 hours? It's about what it is for me too.
It's a ride, but I mean, that's kind of become the norm now. I mean, as long as it's not the 10 to 11 hours to Bradenton, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. South Florida is a little bit of a drive, but I mean, y'all made it several times. I don't know how far was Bradenton from y'all when y'all did that trip.
For us?
Yeah.
Oh, dude. Well, last time we went down was with Dan's big rig and everything, so it was a little smaller than normal.
It was measured in days, not hours.
Yeah. So yeah, we stopped. We stopped to see his cousin in South Carolina on the way down. But dude, honestly though, we've driven straight down to Bradenton before from up here. For me, it's a 24-hour adventure. For me.
Right.
100%. So
right, and Dan's actually, just kind of fade into the other subject that we were talking about. Dan's actually coming down to Gainesville, I believe, to do NMRA.
He is.
So,
actually, as a matter of fact, I'll be down in Florida for a family vacation during that time. I'm gonna see. I'm gonna try to see if I can squeeze away one of those days to come out to Gainesville. And,
Which part of Florida are you going?
What's that?
Which part of Florida are you going?
Just Orlando area.
Okay.
But
go to Disney World.
How far is Gainesville from where y'all are at?
Gainesville for me is a 2-hour drive.
Okay, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's about 4.5 from where I'm at.
Yeah.
So, anyway,
Might be
Orlando's probably like 2 more hours on top of that. So,
yeah. Orlando to Gainesville is probably 2.5 hours, maybe 3 at the most.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's not too bad.
Yeah, I need to start traveling down there and start hitting up some of those races that y'all been doing. I see y'all post them up all the time, but just I forget that there's a whole squad down there that goes racing. So,
all the fun stuff's in Florida. We just need to all go to Florida.
Mike just posted up something about I think it was like a what's that no prep event that y'all usually have down there?
Yeah, he's doing the it's like a backside race that they do. They do frontside and backside at Orlando Speed World, and they do a lot of no prep stuff at Orlando Speed World. And then I just finished doing Street Kings with the TRC camp. And then Streetcar Takeover is usually January-ish time. They do Streetcar Takeover in Bradenton. So,
yeah, I think I'm gonna look at the calendar as far as 2024 and try to hit up. I've always said to Bryan, I feel bad I haven't been up there yet, but Bryan, we're coming up to see you. We're going to make that a
one of these days
plan. One of these days, man.
So, well, we talked about June, but that's starting to look a little more grim now because now 6 summer, me and Dan are doing 6 summer, so that kind of throws out some stuff there. So.
Yeah,
that's about the time when the snow melts up there, isn't it? June,
it's just about. About. Yeah, actually, so yeah, June 6 summer last year was fantastic. I mean, we had 2 pretty hot days in like the mid-high 80s. But the rest of the week, it was like mid-high 70s the rest of the week. And we only caught rain for like we caught rain in Byron, and it rained at the track, and then we drove maybe 15 minutes in the rain. And then after that, that was the only rain we saw. It was a great week. Great week. So hoping that we get a similar deal this year. But.
Yeah. As the on the 6 summer deal, like what's the stick class usually look like? I mean, do a lot of stick cars do those events?
So this past year, Jeremy Hall, he won it. I was the runner up, and then Tyler Garlock was third. Damon Elf it was there with a Supra. There's one of the I forget the gentleman's name, but he's part of the streetcar shenanigans crew. Black SN95 car. He was out there with his car. And then I mean, like as far as like cars that were like bottom 9s, 8 into the 8s or whatever, there was only maybe a handful. But then you got Jeremy Howell. I mean, he just needed to rip off do a couple high 7s and then whatever else below an 850, and he's got it won. So
yeah.
But yeah, being cage limited sucks, but it's for the right reasons. So
yeah,
just got to abide by the rules. So
yeah, Jeremy Howell, man, that dude's an animal. I watched.
Dude, I love that guy, man. He's been so helpful to me, and then him and his whole crew, they're just awesome. Love those guys.
Solid guys.
Yeah.
I can actually honestly say that about stick shift racers, man. Yeah. I mean. You don't even have to know each other, but you got a common interest and struggle. So I mean, we all kind of come together, at the track. So like when I went to Martinez, I was there by myself, and I mean Alex and Schrader. I mean, man, we all hung out together like we're like old friends. And I went over to Alex camp, over there with Sam Warner and Yandro and all those guys, Josh Flint. I mean, just great camaraderie that we all come together at the track, and just get to hang out and do the sport that we like. I mean, it's so cool to watch all of us grow together and hit up these events, because I mean it's not often that we get to all come together at one place, to do all this. But But because like for example, whenever I broke off the crane when I needed to modify a crane sister, I went over there. Alex always had tools. Schrader, he was over there helping me doing compression tests on my car, knowing I was by myself. My crew couldn't make it because they broke down in Tallahassee, and they were having their own struggles. But it's cool that we can all come together and kind of help each other in this and share this kind of information with each other, to further our combos. So
we'll say that about the stick shift class too. I mean, it's a really tight knit group, and especially in the Mustang community, because I mean, how many stick shift, Mustang specific events do you go to? Well, there's one big one, Mod Nationals, and you go down there's like 25 cars in a stick shift class, and that's just unheard of. You don't just see that anywhere. So I mean, it's been pretty cool just to have people to hang out with that are like minded, and even like the Corvette guys and some of the other V8 platforms, they're really cool to talk to. Everybody just really gets along really well.
Right. I mean,
stick shift racing in general has gotten super popular because even like with FL2K, they had to break it up into 3 separate classes.
Yeah.
They had top 16, middle 16, bottom 16. So to have that many cars on property and all of them being super competitive, really tight field, it's good to see how good stick shift racing, and it's that people are still trying to beat their head against the wall basically to make these cars work, and not just throwing autos in them and just being lazy about it and try to go fast.
Right. Yeah, and how many did we have at FL2K? It was like 48 cars total, 49 cars,
something like that. I mean, again, they ended up breaking it down into three separate fields.
Yeah. So I mean, it was quite the it was quite awesome, seeing that many stick cars come out.
Yeah, that's the most stick cars I've seen in one event, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, at World, granted, not everybody can get into World Cup, but like, World Cup is known for having like really big stick shift classes, and FL2K they had that outcome. Man, I was actually quite surprised, and I was sitting there thinking to myself, I was like, man, are we all going to end up in one class? Because I was nervous. I was starting to look at the times, and man, them Hondas they roll out.
And even like Schrader said, even at Mod Nationals, they have 20 plus cars just in stick shift, and be Mustang specific, motor specific. That's insanity as well. That's great.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
But it's kind of so. This is kind of off topic. Anyways, I noticed we all seen it on social media, and we've been sharing them. How about this? How about the virtual stick shift race that's going on right now with Stick Shift Elite? So our poor boy Bryan there got first round duck.
Yeah, that's my name, man. That's earned it hard.
Yeah.
I think it's better than being a no round duck.
Yeah, that's
boy.
True, but
yeah.
The first round title has been it's the name that I've acquired the latter half of this season. I can't seem to get out of that damn first round. So here we are.
Yeah, we got to get you
changes.
We got to get you a little ducky sticker, put it in your back glass, so so that way everybody knows. But but it's kind of funny though. It's kind of funny. It's like a not cool little thing to do, when we get to share, a virtual race like that. But it's like I did not realize like how big the import stick shift guys were, because like I'm looking at the V8 guys and the import guys, and it's like whoop, and it's just it seems like there's a lot of fan base out there for the stick shift import guys, because I guess that's all they got, because there's not an auto out there you can put an import, to do that kind of stuff. So, because most of them run like dog boxes, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, either dog boxes, and some of them are jumping over to what is it? The sequentials.
Sequential.
Yeah.
A lot of them are jumping into sequentials for the same reason, because they have nothing else to try to go super fast.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Did Black Magic actually come out with a clutch for the import guys? That was a slipper style clutch.
Mike Acevedo was trying to get something done for Bojinki. It's a Starlet that runs a 13B, and they were trying to make a small inch Black Magic deal. I don't know if they ever got it off like the drawing board, because I think the guy ended up going a different route. But I know that there's a couple imports that run slipper stuff. I think Ace makes a couple of them. But the problem with those cars, and even in the front wheel drive applications, is there's not enough room in the bell housings because they're all running stock bell housing. It isn't like us that we can get an aftermarket bell housing, whether it's Bonifonte or QuickTime or whatever, and make these clutches fit. With them, they have to run a stock style, cast bell housing, so they have to have a tiny clutch. So I don't know if anybody's actually made something fit like in a front wheel drive application.
Yeah,
because that one Honda guy that I believe his name was Angel. I raced him at FL2K. He had a white Honda. So because he came over and looked at the car and what I had in it, and he was saying that he wanted me to send him. I guess he'd have to make all the bracketry because I don't know nothing about Honda.
Yeah.
But I said, yeah, I can send you, kind of like a universal, and you can just kind of make your bracketry because I did not realize that import guys really didn't have the luxury that we have with the slipper style clutches.
Yeah.
So, and but I think that's I think that'll be a potential to for them to probably run something like that with I assume it's just a twin disc diaphragm or something that they're running in one like a twin 8.
Yeah, I guess their saving grace is a lot of those cars are hydraulic. So they can put in a slipper style valve into the hydraulic, but a lot of them they'll slip every time, or they got to put it into the tune where it'll turn on and off. So I think that's how most of those guys have made it work, has been putting a hydraulic style slipper.
Right. Yeah, because usually it's the same, consistency, which is, you have kind of like a mediocre 60-foot, and then you just back half the rest of it, and because I was looking at some of the times I had in it, I was like, man, this dude's trapping like 10 mile an hour more than I am on the back end. Yeah. So they roll out. But Bryan, you got a topic you want to talk about? We'll wrap it up.
I don't know. What was the other stuff that we wanted to talk about?
I don't know. Potential changes, success and failures. What failures have we had this year?
Being a first-round duck. That's I'm trying to think. No, man. This is and we've been on for an hour and 16 minutes. It's just been good combo and.
Oh, dude, it's awesome. Yeah,
we got to
time flies
more often. So.
Yeah, I know Zach was talking about combo changes. I know Schrader, you got the new blower going for you. So, and then so I think 2024 might yield some promising results. Mine's about to go into, for lack of a better term, chassis jail. I got to get a cage and stuff in my car. It's
definitely.
So I was trying to keep the weight out of it, just to kind of drive that number and get that record. But I was like, I did not expect it to go as fast as it did. I expected it to kind of like short track and then kind of fall off, but it did the opposite. So, so safety is a big thing. That's right now. I'm going to have to get a cage in the car. I will not put a chute on it until it says 150 on the slip. So just so y'all know. So I know it's close. I went 149.8, but that doesn't count. So
Garrett, I'm pretty sure if you put a cage in, it stripped all that interior out of there just to put the cage in, I'm sure you could find some weight to remove out of this thing.
Yeah. So I'm gonna do a sump tank. I'm gonna do like a behind bars sump tank. I'm gonna change the brakes out on that. Just little things. To shed some weight here and there. The push bars are about to go. I got a couple odds and ends. That need to happen. The exhaust needs to be revised, and I think I'm fixing to do what Zach did and make it aluminum. So it'll shed some weight there, and it sounds so good. So
it does have a cool.
Yeah, Zach did his and just to got to give you some data. When Zach did his aluminum exhaust, it was so he did it all one piece. His was dumps. So I eventually want tailpipes out the back because I miss them. But he went from the collector to the dumps by the axle was all one piece made out of aluminum. And I put it on a scale and it was 11.5 pounds. Wow. That whole piece. I could take it and lift it with my arm. So compared to the same 2.5, and that was 3.5 inch. The 2.5 inch that I have, it's easily like 35, maybe 40 pounds because it's got big old mufflers and all that. I mean, it's just heavy steel. So I think so I'm going to do that just as a, not because I just want it to sound cool, but, just to shed some weight off the car, but yeah, I mean, we could do another. I think we can do another stream one day, and we'll talk about weight reduction, and what guys have done. So I know there's different platforms. The ultimate weight reduction is just go out and buy a Fox, but we're going to have to make do with what we got.
Yeah. No, but, these cars can be lightened up. That would be a good topic to talk about. Just things that you can, reduce weight on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you'd be surprised. Guys that I've seen at the track that still have stock K members. I was like, why is this still in the car? I was like, you got everything else under the car. You got all the support, the bracket. You still have a stock K member. So it's like, that needs to be one of the first things to go because that's a good chunk of weight. So, I was being petty, and I thought I was being petty one year. My first Mognats that I raced at, I took the heat exchanger off to try to get into the nines. I was unported 11 pounds on a wet kit, and just to try to get in the nines, and I took the heat exchanger off just to try to get the number down. So it's back on the car and it's staying, but it's just like, there's bigger things that you could do instead of trying to be petty with like all the small stuff that you're taking off. So, but I think that'll be a good
matters.
Dude, my buddy Greg, he always says, he's like, if you can't find a place to shed a pound, find 16 places to shed an ounce. So
yeah,
that's the way. So, but I mean, I know it's a little bit of a time change, and you guys have got to get up and go to work tomorrow. So, and I'm sure Schrader's got some bolt-on car he's got to ride a tune for. So, can you give me flex fuel? So, but man, guys, I mean, I think this has kind of been a successful groundbreaking as far as the live streams go, and I think we need to start doing some more of this. So, and I don't mind implementing more people, more voices into this kind of stuff because I hate hearing myself talk, but I think getting some good data from other characters will actually kind of help the community on this, and it's good chatter,
For sure. Appreciate
it.
Yeah, let's do it again sometime.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I was happy to be invited. So.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude. I was like, I told Bryan, I said, I need a wild card. I said, we need an outsider. I said, we need an outsider. Who doesn't have a Cobra? I was like, you know what? Let's get Alex. I said, he's got
Cobra at heart.
Yeah, he's a Cobra at heart. But but Zach wasn't going to be on the stream, and I knew exactly who I wanted to get on here. So, which was you, Schrader, and I was actually going to plan on getting you on the next one. But I mean, your combo is different from ours, and you can kind of give us an insight into that kind of world. With the Coyote and the Century blower, because Cobra guys, they're either turbo or they're PD blower, and then there's no Century guys out here, that really.
It's not a Cobra, but I mean, it's pretty much the same car with a solid axle, so it's just a different engine combo.
As I says, it's a Fox body with lipstick. So so, but yeah, I think we need to start doing these, every so often and everything, and I think we'll be, we'll be a little bit better prepared, as far as talking on some topics. I just had a few of them write down. This was just kind of the groundbreaking stream to kind of get a little bit of chatter out there,
Absolutely.
Yep.
So, cool. But all right. Well, anything you guys want to add before we end it out?
No,
I think we're good.
See you next time.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys. All right, we appreciate all you guys watching us here and listening to this chatter. So, but we'll be back on probably within 2 to 3 weeks, and we'll probably do something else. But I'm about to go back in the shop and go wrench on some things. So,
good.
All right, see y'all, boys.
Later, guys.
See you.
That's it.